Disney just cut a deal with an activist investor to give them what looks like an observer position on the board, which is the same kind of position that Nelson Peltz was rumored to be offered right before Susan Arnold, former chairman of the Walt Disney Board, was terminated from her position. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. I'm Jonas Jake Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, where we talk about streaming, theme parks, entertainment, and video games. Today, we're talking about Mason Morfitt from Value Act Capital and how he just got himself a sweetheart arrangement with the Walt Disney Company with a less significant amount of shares than Mr. Nelson Peltz. I've dug into the history of Mason Morfitt and what's happened at several major companies once he and his representatives have gotten on the board of Adobe, Microsoft, and even Nintendo. Could he do the same kind of things at Disney? Let's get into it. The Walt Disney Company and Value Act entering into an information sharing arrangement to facilitate strategic consultation during the company's transformation. I said it weird because it's a boring title, but really what's going on here is there's a guy who's got a bunch of shares, not as many as Nelson Peltz. This guy's name is Mason Morfitt, and he's the kind of guy that you call in. He's an active. He's not like one of those regular activist investors guy. He's a cool activist investor. He comes in and he doesn't really shake up the way you do business. He mostly agrees with you and gives you a few tweaks here on how to do it. I wanted to give everybody a quick profile on who this fella is. He's not Jason Aintabi, who we did the video on yesterday. That guy deserves a video all on his own, and you guys should go watch that because he's a little nuts. And I'm not quite sure that, especially after having some additional sources reach out, I'm not quite sure that that guy is actually on Iger's side. I think he wants to be on Iger's side, but that guy might be nuts. Allegedly nuts, because he's also very litigation happy. Yeah.
Allegedly.
So sometimes you feel like a nut, Jonas, and
sometimes you don't. Now, the most interesting thing right off the bat about Mason Morfitt here is that he is married to Jordana Brewster from the Fast and the Furious franchise, looking lovely here on their wedding day. This was in 2020. Let's see, wait. Sorry, this is not 2020. This is 2022. They got engaged while maybe they were still involved in some other relationships, allegedly, here. And yeah, looks like they had a. Here's Vin Diesel. I don't know if he knew that the wedding was going on this day. Looks like he stepped out of his house there and arrived. But you got to show up for family, as it were. So
it's all about family.
That's right. Oh, look at the happy couple there. And yeah, Mason Morfitt seems to be doing well for himself. I'll say that. But the thing that I really wanted to bring up about this guy, Mason Morfitt, is how he operates. Now, these can be very dry, or they can be very quick. And I've chosen to go very quick with what this fella in particular has been up to. So I'll give you a quick one. Mason Morfitt joined, or sorry, his company Value Act bought a bunch of shares of Adobe in not 2016. What's the year here? In 2011.
Right.
And in a couple of years later, what is Adobe's massive product? Anybody use anything from Adobe on this panel here?
Photoshop.
Photoshop.
Premiere.
Anything else? Premiere. Yeah,
After
Lightroom.
Effects, all of those. Yeah.
Illustrator.
Yeah.
It's one of them. It's like the industry standard for video and photo editing.
Yeah. So it used to be that you could buy a single copy of any of those softwares and you would just have it forever. Right. What changed in 2013, about 2 years after Mason Morfitt got himself on the board?
Software as a service.
Software as a service. Yes. Adobe Creative Cloud, now about $60 a month, depending on where you get it. If you can get a Black Friday deal, by the way, professional note for anybody out there who's a creative. Yes. Grimm says it best. Creative Cloud subscription, bologna sausage.
Yes.
Yeah. So
bologna sausage.
And we'll see a lot more items like this. Also, look at this right here. In 2014, the Microsoft board expanded to include Mason Morfitt right there. Again, 2014. And does anybody remember all those updates like Office 1995, Office 2020, Excel 2020, and all that? And you'd have all your different versions there.
Standalone.
Yes, standalone. And you could buy it and have it forever. Because you know what? Excel essentially changes every year. Adding up numbers in columns, that's something that you really have to innovate on year after year, right? Because math changes, right? Doesn't it? Of course, as you might understand the pattern here, Microsoft 365, which used to be Office 365, that came about in 2017 and is software as a subscription.
Correct.
And finally, in one that is both tragic and wonderful, ValueAct got into Nintendo in 2020. Now, I would say Nintendo was already kind of in the software as a subscription game here on Nintendo Switch. You've got Nintendo Switch Online, but not long after he joined up, they added in Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pack, which is they add in the Nintendo 64 games, but they also add in DLC as a subscription for Mario Kart and Animal Crossing. And Splatoon 2. And I personally, I think Animal Crossing is one of the most zen games out there. I love it. And what's funny is I like Animal Crossing more than my wife does. There's a shooter game that she plays constantly, and I cannot get her for the life of me to play Animal Crossing. Meanwhile, I just, the nice little jazzy tunes and the quirky little animals going blah, 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 as they ask you to go get things around their town. I love it. Read into that what
a whole new side of Jonas I've never seen.
Oh my!
Yes, a very very sensitive and delicate.
Don't make me go get my Mr. Rossetti amiibo. No, I have a dark side to me. I am like Mr. Rossetti. I will yell at children if they reset their game before.
Hey, I've made kids cry.
I'm a father of 4. I can guarantee you I've made kids cry.
I'm not a parent, and I've still made kids cry.
You should hear Jonas behind the scenes, guys. He has a dark side, I'm telling you. No, I'm joking.
This is what it sounds like when kids cry.
Okay. So here's what I think is going to happen. And Disney, as they've often talked about in the past, there's a project called Project Starbeam that we've covered on the Pro channel. And also, it was considered a Bob Chapek initiative, but there are indications that this might still be going on at the company. Right. Okay, so Vash, we had a conversation yesterday about where the Disney company might be headed with Project Starbeam and the things that they were considering during the pandemic. Can you share with everyone else what you sent me last night? After I was asleep and I was done researching, you continued on.
I do apologize. I had to pull it out, right? So I'll go ahead and read from it directly because I'll just stutter and stammer through it if I don't. Back in the dark days of 2020, while Disneyland remained closed with no date given when the park might actually reopen, Disney canceled all outstanding annual pass holder programs while suggesting, even by Chapek himself, that the AP program might turn to an entirely new form and use the language loyalty program at the time. The speculation at the time was that it was going to be mostly a monthly subscription service where certain perks originally included with the AP program itself would now be earned through consumer spending at the parks themselves. Obviously, that didn't actually happen as the AP program was re-envisioned into the Magic Key program, essentially just APs with reservations, making its debut in August of 2021. But fast forward to August 31st, 2022, about a year later, the Wall Street Journal is the first to report about a new initiative that the Walt Disney Company had to combine various products and services that they offer, including theme park admission, Shop Disney, Disney Plus, Hulu, and other DTC services, and perhaps even the D23 fan club experience under one monthly subscription service akin to Amazon's Prime offering. For simplicity, we can refer to this as Disney Prime or Project Starbeam, as Jonas eloquently put there. Development of this idea was entrusted to Mike White, a senior executive within consumer products hired by Chapek himself in 2022. The Wall Street Journal described his role and Disney Prime concept as the following, quote, Mr. White was involved in an effort last year to design a membership initiative that in some ways resembled Amazon.com Inc.'s Prime program, which would integrate consumer data across multiple Disney platforms, including streaming options, Disney Plus, online retail operations, and smartphone apps that visitors use at Disney's theme parks to buy food, merchandise, and other products. He was put in charge of the company's metaverse concept as well, with a team of about 50 people working under him to bring the concept to reality, all under a new, entirely new division within the company. JPEG. Go ahead.
No, now, so first of all, we are going to be talking about the metaverse a lot here in 2024 on That Park Place and on the Pro channel, and I imagine Culture is going to be doing the same. So the thing that I want to come back to is the statement that Chapek, which, by the way, when people say we like Chapek, that is only in contrast to Bob Iger, because I thought he was a hatchet man that was going to go through and make a bunch of changes, and then someone better was going to come along to take over the company after they had righted the ship. Turns out that was not the intention. He was just supposed to be doing whatever Iger said. So Chapek has a really bad history with the parks, and all of the current initiatives that we dislike so much, Chapek was behind them. The raising of prices and things like that. So you said in there that they were considering making certain perks of the annual pass holder program only available to people who met a certain spending threshold within the parks. That's nefarious to me. That stinks so bad, as opposed to just, okay, we've got 6 kids. Not 6 kids, 4 kids. We got 6 people in our group and we want to go to the parks. How much would you have to spend in order to have access to get the annual pass? That's my question, is like, how much are they holding people's feet to the fire here that you have to spend a certain amount of money to even have access to have an annual pass?
And I don't know if the idea was untenable or if there was just not enough support within the company to actually bring this forward, or I don't know what happened, but they were legitimately considering it. There are quotes at the time from Chapek himself saying, yeah, we're going to have a loyalty kind of program. And a lot of people speculating on what that was. And it didn't sound very good or very appetizing. I guess maybe too much change at the same time. A lot of things were changing at that time as the company rebounded from the pandemic. Hard to say. Culture, you were saying?
No, I was just going to add to that yes, they've been working on this actually for quite some time. I mean, going back to when he was still running the parks division. So this was it already germinating at that point in time. So.
And here's an August 31st, 2022 article that I was referencing before. Thank you so much, Jonas, for bringing this up. Disney explores membership program like Amazon Prime to offer discounts and perks.
So I think as Disney focuses on data collection here, that this is going to be a dangerous thing about the mouse in particular. While Amazon collects all kinds of data about people, I'm not saying that they're bad. They have Alexas in people's home. By the way, Amazon does have a current partnership with Amazon through Alexa that if you go into one of their rooms and say, hey, Disney, then it'll they basically have microphones in all of their rooms at this point. Oh man, that's going to be pretty scary considering what else we're going to be talking about here. But
yes.
Before we move on to that topic, anybody have any thoughts before we move on to the second phase of this discussion about a Disney Prime program?
Well, I'll finish my comments pretty briefly here. So Chapek described the company's metaverse efforts as a way to create an entirely new paradigm for how audiences and experiences engage with its stories and so forth. Chapek also called it the next great storytelling frontier. Fast forward to March 28th of 2023, shortly after Iger is made CEO of the Walt Disney Company once again, and the Wall Street Journal runs a new article, this time detailing that the 50 people working under Mike White, as mentioned before, had all been terminated along with the newly created division. Was shuttered as part of the Iger's goal of reducing headcount at the company by at least 7,000. We heard about that. And by cutting the company's expenditures by $5.5 billion. But at the time, it was curious to many as to why White himself wasn't also canned. It was like, that's kind of an interesting step there. The Wall Street Journal even noted at the time that it was unclear what his ongoing role would be. And we can only presume right now, especially with ValueX involvement and what they're all about, this subscription service deal, maybe possibly Mike White was retained at the company at least to pass on what he was developing when it came to Project Starbeam or Disney Prime. I don't know if he's still working on it, but they retain that portion of it, which is interesting.
Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think Disney is gearing up for some kind of new subscription model to top them all? Or will Peltz get his seat and put the kibosh on it? Tell us your thoughts because we would love to know. This clip was part of our now regular Thursday live stream, which starts at noon Eastern time. Of course, if you're not in that time zone, just hit the notification bell if you'd like YouTube to just tell you when that is. Like this video if you like this video. If you know someone who is as interested as we are in this kind of nerdy thing, then maybe you should share the link with them. And of course, please consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.